Hey YouTube, Kiratoi here, bringing you all an update to my Ignight Yugioh deck profile for February 2025. Wanted to update this pendulum deck. This is very, to the point type of pendulum deck where all of the Ignite pendulum monsters share the same destruction effect. Having another Ignite card in your pendulum zone to destroy both cards in the pendulum zones, then adding an additional fire warrior type monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. This consistent buildup makes use of the Ignite playstyle for being able to pendulum summon out your Ignite monsters and then make use of those special summons along with some of the non-pendulum Ignite monsters and the additional Ignite power traps to set up more or less these destruction plays. So very happy with the pure playstyle that we wanted to go for with this version of the deck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So as I said before, the Ignite monsters all share in the same monster effects, but we'll go through all of the copies that we run in the deck. 3 copies of Ignight Templar being one of our level 4 monsters, with this card having the effect, which we'll go over, and the varying, pendulum scales being scale 7 and scale 2 for the Ignite monsters. With our Templar, if you have an Ignite card in your other pendulum zone, you can destroy both cards in the pendulum zones. If you do, add one fire warrior type monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So that add back power and search sets up the Ignite cards in your extra deck to be able to summon back out onto the field and then give you more search to complete those scales. Initially with the Ignite cards, you would want to build up as many as you could, then just special them out all into the field. But with the restriction of Master Rule 5, obviously you can only summon out one monster from the extra deck to the extra monster zone. So you don't want to build up as much. Instead, you want to keep as many Ignite cards in your hand. So go for more or less just the first destruction to give you the one setup in your extra deck and then use the majority of the other ones in your hand to do so. That's why we run a good majority of the different Ignite cards, including 3 copies of Ignight Paladin, the other level 4 target, the level 5 being our Ignite Margrave, one of the other options for the scale 7, and just a higher level 1, which also do note with the Ignite cards all being in between the levels of 2 and 7, so you can pendulum summon each copy of these monsters out. The 3 copies of Ignite Veteran for the lower attack of the level 6 monsters, but still very, very useful, along with the 3 copies of Ignite Gallant for the other higher attack but lower defense option compared to the other level 6 monster as well. And the last running 2 copies of Ignite Squire and 1 copy of Ignite Cavalier. The one I left out was Ignite Crusader, just being one of the more difficult ones because unlike Templar, it was a foil and not reprinted. But if you have Crusader, you can always replace the Squires and the Cavaliers that we run for additional copies of those cards instead. Now, being an Ignite card as well, we do want to run 3 copies of Ignis Phoenix, the Draco Slayer. I have a Blaster Dragon Ruler of Infernos just as a placeholder for the 3rd copy, which you could ideally run, just more of a Destruction Special Summon Dragon type card. It's always treated as an Ignite card. If this card in the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can Special Summon 1 Draco Slayer or Ignite monster from your deck, except for Ignite Phoenix, the Draco Slayer. If you do, it's treated as a tuner. You can only use this effect of Ignite Phoenix, the Draco Slayer, once per turn. This gives us open options for tuner synchro plays in the deck as well, being able to summon out an Ignite card and then have the other card be treated as a tuner to then go for a level 7 synchro play, which is what I'm running as the main focus in the deck with this card. And for its pendulum scale, during your main phase, you can shuffle 1 face-up pendulum monster from your extra deck into the deck, then add 1 non-pendulum Draco Slayer or Ignite monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Ignis Phoenix, the Draco Slayer, once per turn, but we do run these non-pendulum Ignite monsters in the deck as well, being able to search out those cards additionally as well, along with our other Ignite monsters, include the 2 copies of our Ignite Champion and the 1 copy of Ignite Lancer, being able to special summon these cards out while this card's in your hand, being able to target 3 Ignite cards you control, destroy them, and special summon these monsters. With your Ignite Champion, you can target 1 other Ignite monster you control, return it to the hand, place 1 monster your opponent controls on the bottom of the deck, and our Lancer being able to do the same with a spell or trap our opponent controls instead, being some of these stronger boss monsters by making use of the Ignite cards on the field to be able to summon them out and having means to search these cards out as well. And then lastly, for the main deck monsters, we're running 3 copies of Barrier Statue of the Inferno, just with the amount of cards we can pendulum them out, and the majority of them being fire monsters. Being able to restrict our opponent's special zone power in the form of just fire monsters really limits what they could potentially summon out with this card alone on the field, and not really restrict too much for what we can do in the extra deck also. And we're also running for the spells 3 copies of Ignite Reload. You shuffle any number of pendulum monsters from your hand and shuffle them into the deck. Then draw cards equal to the number of cards shuffled plus 1 for the rest of this turn. After this resolves, you cannot draw cards by card effects. You can activate 1 Ignite Reload per turn, but if you have a specific number of Ignite cards that you just want to shuffle back to hopefully get a better number of, you can shuffle those cards back and then make up for the plus 1 being the Ignite Reload card as well, getting back exactly what you had before you used this quick play spell. We're also running 2 copies of Igknight Unite. You target 1 Ignite card you control, destroy it. If you do special summon 1 Ignite monster from your deck, you can activate 1 Igknight Unite per turn. But this card can also summon out the non-pendulum Ignite cards, which is one of my more preferred ways to do so, because they're not restricted for those plays as well. Being able to use this card to special summon out by using some of our lower level Ignite cards to do so. And then also the 2 copies of the field spell Ignition Phoenix. All Ignite monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. Once per turn, you can target 1 Ignite card you control, destroy it. If you do, add 1 Ignite card from your deck to your hand. Having more of a search and setup with this field spell as well, being able just to destroy the 1 and add that Ignite card as well, giving us more search for some of the specifics that we run for the lower numbers using this field spell. And then also the 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army, being a good majority of monsters being warrior monsters, and being able to search them out with this spell. And the 1 copy of Pot of Riches. Shuffle 3 pendulum monsters into the deck from the graveyard and or face up in your extra deck, then draw 2 cards. Just being able to make use of that stack buildup of cards in your extra deck with this spell to give you more of a draw power also. And then for the traps, 2 copies of Ignite Burst. Once per turn during your main phase, you can destroy up to 3 other Ignite cards you control, then return an equal number of cards your opponent controls to the hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 face-up Ignite Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. So you can even use your Pendulum Scales for the destruction plays using this card. You will obviously need to replenish those cards, but still being able to take out a good number of cards your opponent controls, returning those cards to the hand to take out a good number of extra deck or other more difficult cards your opponent used to set up on the field. And then also the 1 copy of Goes in Match, since we just run a majority of fire monsters, and the 1 copy of Skill Drain, because Skill Drain won't affect the majority of our Ignite Pendulum monsters either, but it can definitely shut down a good number of what our opponent may try to do also. For the extra deck, we run 1 copy of Magister Paladin, the Ascending Draco Slayer, the 1 copy of Volcasaurus, the 1 M7, and the 1 Wind-Up Zen Mains, and the 1 Sky Crisis for the varying levels of Xyz monsters we can summon in the deck. For the Pendulum monsters, 1 copy of IP Masquerena, the 1 SP Little Knight, the 1 Nightmare Phoenix, along with the 1 Ferocious Flame Swordsman, the 1 Link Spider, and additional fire monsters including the Power Code Talker, the 1 Heat of the Fire Charmer of Blaze, and the 1 Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames, which does need effect monsters to summon out, but there are a good number of other extra deck monsters and effect monsters in the main deck which we can also use to summon this card. With our Synchro monsters just being the 1 copy of Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon and the 1 Black Rose Dragon. These cards can be summoned out when making use of our Ignis Phoenix, the Draco Slayer. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Ignite monster from your deck except for the Draco Slayer, and it's treated as a tuner. So this is the way you can get out your tuner monster to summon out these cards, either having total destruction on the field or just making use of our Pendulum Scale summons also. With the plays you want to rely on to do so in the deck with our Ignite monsters. If you have your Ignis Phoenix in the other Pendulum Scale, you can use this card along with one of your other Ignite monsters for their own destruction play. If you have an Ignite card in your other Pendulum Zone, you can destroy both cards, and if you do add 1 Fire Warrior monsters, then you can destroy the 2, adding the Fire Warrior monster of choice, and then you can use your Ignis Phoenix, the Draco Slayer, for this card to special summon out an Ignite monster. So then you can grab your Ignite monster of choice. You can grab your level 3 Squire to treat it as a tuner, because then with your Templar that you searched off of the additional Squire, you have your level 7 Synchro play right there. If you don't go for that play, you could always use your Ignis Phoenix, the Draco Slayer, to summon out the monster from your deck, being one of your bigger Ignite monsters, being all the easier to summon out. And then from there as well, being able to target the 3 Ignite cards you control, which can be the one last Pendulum Scale you set, and then the initial one also to complete the Pendulum Scale, summoning out your other monster onto the field, having the 3 needed to use with your bigger Ignite monster. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. This is definitely an interesting, fun Pendulum deck that can focus on a sort of one-card playstyle, and then having just that one-card playstyle to focus on, you can then focus the rest of your combo, tactics in focusing on what you want to set up with your extra deck and other resources in the deck. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.